been looking for a place that I'd rather be. I've been searching for my own destiny. I raise my gun to the sky and scream out loud. This is my life, this is my hope, this is what I stand for. Now it's the time to let it all. We are the young ones that fight for survival. We will watch like an eye on the fire. We are the young ones that fight for survival. We will watch like an eye on the fire. We will watch like an eye on the fire. I've been looking for a place that I'd rather be. I've been searching for my own destiny. I raise my gun to the sky and scream out loud. This is my life, this is my hope, this is what I stand for. Now it's the time to let it all. We are the young ones that fight for survival. We will watch like an eye on the fire. We are the young ones that fight for survival. We will watch like an eye on the fire. We will watch like an eye on the fire.
And away we go here for Xbox Division 3.
Still wheel to wheel coming out of turn 19.
Tries to go down the inside of Desio. Desio giving him space, but not by much.
Oh, and he's oversteered, and he spun. They're side by side, off the track, neck and neck.
Good evening, race fans. Coming to you live from North America. This is PPR Esports, race number 11 of 22, coming from Austria this weekend. It is me, Kermit, in the booth with Cosmo.
How y'all doing tonight?
Awesome. Good to have Cosmo back in the booth. Good to be back in the booth after being gone last week. Thanks for Best Hand for taking over. Biggles might be dropping by at some point to give us some commentary from the pit lane. But in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and introduce you to the track. It's the Red Bull Ring. 36 laps our drivers will be doing tonight. We're looking for about 1 minute, 2 seconds and a half. 2.5 seconds. That's about the time I think we're going to be looking from our drivers tonight. One of the reasons it's so fast is there's only 8 turns. 6 to the right, 2 to the left. 17 laps on the soft tire, 22 possible on the medium, and 27 on the hard. Looking at strategy tonight, looks like a soft medium is possible if the drivers can get them to stretch that much. But keep your eye on turns number 1, turns number 2, and turns number 3. The name of the game in those turns is traction, both through the turn and on the exit. So that is going to be a major factor in the distance our drivers are going to be able to take those tires this evening. Moving on, we've got Racing Point. We've got Getchum and Some Idiot both in the Racing Point cars tonight. Some Idiot has been running away with the championship, that's for sure. Well, I'm sure if we see him tonight, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. McLaren, we've got Cream, and we've got Rogue. Both drivers doing very well this season to keep their finishes in the points and to keep them there consistently. Next, we've got Mercedes with Destiel and Donstas. Destiel been struggling to get on the podium this year as much as he was last year, but still a contender for the top points. Donstas, very fast newcomer, doing good things for Mercedes already. Red Bull, Stoney, and Shea B been on it since last season. Fair share of points this season, plenty of 7th, 8th, and even a few 5th finishes from them. AlphaTauri, we've got Corsac and Hammer Time, both drivers that have shown the pace but need to keep the consistency under them in order to come out on top tonight. Renault, we've got Capital Hood and Dr.
Hey,
Short.
real quick.
Yeah, what's up?
New lobby. I just sent you an invite.
Oh, thank you very much.
Or it was a different invite, a different lobby.
Yep, let me go ahead and get into that. Look at that, Cosmo always looking out for me here, making sure I'm in the right place. We're gonna go ahead and get Biggles.
I got you, boy.
And there we go. Alright, back to the driver wrap-up. We've got Renault. That is, of course, Captain Hood and Dr. McShorty. Captain Hood, last week, I believe, placing on the podium. That's correct, in France. Another podium in Azerbaijan and one in Vietnam as well. So his fair share of podiums this season. Able to give Renault quite the points haul this so far. Alfa Romeo, we've got PPR Nick and Double OT. Ferrari, Simsbad and Buddha. Williams, we've got Randoms and Gore, and Ruda is on Haas currently. Drivers' Championship total wrap up. Here we go. We've got Some Idiot with 226 points in first position. Second, we've got Cream with 138. Then our fight for third is very close. We've got Hammer Time with 81, Capito is 69, Destiel 66, Stoney 61, Rogue 53, Double OT 51, and Brownie 50. Really not much of a gap between them there. Just a couple of races separate all the drivers from third through basically 9th or so. Hugo's locked down 10th position right now at 36 points. Shea B 24 points in 11th. Dr. McShorty 22 points in 12th. Red Hornet 20 points, Ketchum 19, Fluffy Dave 18, Donstas 16, Simsbad 14, Chenjay 12, Corsac 10. Buddha is actually tied for 20th with 6 points with Gore and Remoto. Remoto, first race with PPR last week, putting up some nice points as a reserve driver. We've got Nick with 4 points this season, Randoms with 2, and then we've got Terry Ruda, Doc Balak, Alexander Kublai Henners, Exotic Trudeau, Shabam, Becky B, all drivers that we've seen out on the track so far this season, but have not scored points as of yet. That brings us to the Constructors' Championship. Racing Point with a commanding lead, 245 points. McLaren, 191 points, a very solid showing from them. AlphaTauri and Renault are actually tied right now with 91 points apiece. Red Bull and Mercedes, 85 and 82 respectively. Alfa Romeo in 7th with 55. Ferrari in 8th with 20. Williams in 9th with 8. And Haas, no points as of yet, in 10th. Back to where we'll be racing tonight again. This is the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Australia. Target's fastest lap time is going to be 1 minute and 2.5 seconds or so. We're going to see, I think, a variation of lap times from our drivers, but in those 8 turns, we're going to need to see no mistakes to get down to the 1 minute 1 seconds. I don't know if we'll see it tonight or not, but we'll be watching to find out. 17 laps on the softs, 22 laps on the mediums, and 27 laps on the hard. Cosmo, what kind of tire compound strategy do you think we're going to see tonight here in Austria?
It should be a pretty easy soft medium tonight. I don't see anyone varying unless there's like maybe kind of an early safety car. Maybe someone will try and go onto the hards, but yeah, most likely a soft medium or medium soft.
It just seems like there's so much life left in those tires that it should be able to get the drivers around the circuit pretty easily. And depending on the tire allocation that you choose for the weekend, or for the race, I should say, if you have extra sets of softs and extra sets of mediums, any safety car is only going to benefit you, because then if you're able to pit at about the right time, then you get basically a free pit stop. So yeah, I definitely like the soft medium strategy. Hards would be a tough one to justify, in my opinion, unless there's maybe rain mid-race and you want to just run them all the way. I don't know. So
Yeah, I think the mediums are probably the better tire for the race, but I'm sure someone will put on the hards if they have an incident early in the race and they're going to try and stretch it to the end.
yeah, I think it makes sense. I think there's a niche case used for them, but we could get lucky and see a little bit of rain here, and that would be great, because like I said, turns number 1, turn 2, and turn 3 are all extremely hard braking zones in which it's tough to keep the traction on the way in and on the way out, because as soon as you get your car rotated around the corner, you need to shoot it in a straight line down those straights, and you really can't leave any traction on the track, because you're going to need all of it for the next section. If you don't,
4 is difficult too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going down the hill in the wet.
True. Yeah, down the hill and to the left there. That's never going to be an easy turn.
Hi, guys.
Especially with the elevation change.
How you doing?
Sounds like we got
Right,
Biggles
good.
in the booth tonight.
Yeah,
How's it
yeah.
going,
So
Biggles?
they let me in my past work this time. So happy to be down in the pit lane, commentating with you guys. So yeah, what I'm expecting this is a massive drag race into the first corner, which is generally quickly followed by the turns 2 and 3, and then I expect basically a little bit of a chess match through while they settle down during the middle segment of the race. And then what I want to see is some ultimate cage fighting for the end as they run out of those tires. And at that business end, you're going to expect where the points are really going to be handed out. So it's going to be fast and furious, slow and steady, and then the knockout towards the last 5 laps. Thank you.
Absolutely. Biggles summing it up well, what we're looking for as far as race composition goes here. I think he nailed it on the head. During the last 5 laps, we're going to see some real jockeying for position. This is one of those tracks where differences in pace are very pronounced because of the, I don't want to say a lack of complexity of these corners, but more of the I don't even know. I can't find the right words for it, but basically what you have to do on the entry and exit of each corner leaves very little room for error, but the one that's able, or one of the drivers that is able to navigate through those consistently and consistently quickly is going to really come out on top tonight. I think we're going to look to see that from a lot of our drivers. Some Idiot, of course, has been one of our most consistent drivers in the league all season. Other drivers I'd like to see tonight racing for top positions. We got Capita Hood. He is gaining in consistency, it seems like, every race, and finally he's found his pace in the 2020 car model. Cosmo, is there anyone you've got your eye on to be challenging for the top spots tonight?
Man, I'd love to see Racer 33 up there. I loved racing with him in D2 last year when I was around for it. So to see him up in D1, hopefully he's doing. I could see him do well here as well, because he really picked up his pace last year. Like, he was not a particularly quick driver at the beginning of last year, and he really picked up his pace towards the end of last year, put in a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm expecting that. Look out for Becky B. He's been doing a lot of practice lately. I think I was just in a couple of 5 lappers with him earlier. And obviously some Idiot is certainly some force to be reckoned with, because he got some pace. And as you mentioned, Racer 33 is very racy. And let's see if anybody else can throw a wild card into this mix.
I think Fluffy Dave is one to keep an eye on. He surprised us before. I think he qualified 5th back in, I want to say it was Vietnam or China. So we've seen some good things out of him. If he's able to put a lap together, he can definitely place in the higher qualifying scores. We know that. But of course, translating that to a race, a lot of drivers struggle with that. So that is, obviously, 1 lap pace is important here, especially in qualifying. But not the only thing that's going to carry you through the whole race. Looks like Shea B's currently on an out lap. Going to try his hand at the Red Bull Ring. Let's go ahead and ride along into turn 1. A fast right-hander. Ooh, drifts wide to the left. I have to imagine that was going to invalidate his lap. That's one that the track limits are not very forgiving. But if you do run it wide and slow down enough, it sometimes will not invalidate your lap. We'll see down the second straight here. DRS activation from Shavy. Gonna go ahead and fly on down into turn number 2. A sharper than 90 degree. Oh, excuse me, turn number 3. There we go. Also sharper than 90 degree turn. Goes around into turn number 4 to the left here. Hard on the brakes. Needs to clip the apex right in the middle. Run a little bit wide on that one. Gets a lot closer to the apex there, which is good. It's important to get a good exit onto 6. Runs it wide before turn number 7 here. Slams on the brakes just after the 15-meter board. Clips the apex. Runs not quite as wide as he could have, but pretty good effort from him there. And then DRS activation down the main straight again. And Shay B goes fifth fastest with a 1:05.6. Some idiot already putting in a time with a 1 minute flat. Nice time.
And usually we see him improve throughout the session, so I think we're going to see him dip into the high 102s, maybe even the mid 102s.
Yeah, riding on board with some idiot, what is presumably his cooldown lap. He's got ERS at 0 and engine modes down. He is not running out of fuel yet, so he's either going to run another one here on the same tires because he feels he has life to spare. But far more likely, it looks like he's going to dive into the pits here. Yep, goes in. His gas light just comes on, so maybe would have had enough for one more lap, but definitely not enough to do an in-lap after that. So yeah, look for more from some idiot. I think he's going to go in and dump all the fuel he possibly can. In the meantime, we're going to be looking at drivers like Exotic, Creamy Johns, Fluffy Dave, Red Hornet, and Becky B all out on the track currently.
Yeah, Becky B about to set a time.
In 7th, Becky B here around the last turn. Runs it just as wide as he needs to it. Down the main turn, Becky B with a 1 minute 3.5 goes third fastest, only behind some idiot and double OT at this time. Nice lap from him. I wonder if some idiot is going to get us down to the 1 minute and 2 seconds. I think he's going to be able to dip below that.
I think so.
Maybe a 1 minute 2.8. What do you think, Pat?
I think 102.6 is where he'll end up.
Woo! 4/10.
I think so. I feel like he usually runs 3 laps, and if he puts 3 laps together, they usually get consecutively faster by like 2/10, maybe a quarter of a second, depending how much he hooks it up. It seems like regularly he does that.
That's fair. You need to really, I don't know, you really need to hook up a lap here because yeah, there's not too many elements. There are not too many chances you get to feed it correctly into a corner to really hit that traction zone on the way out. It's just not something that this track really allows for.
And there's some tricky traction zones in this track.
Definitely, no doubt about that. A lot of them are flat out coming out of turn number 1, number 2, and number 3 for a decent amount of the 2 before you have to back off. Into 4. Ruda currently on his out lap here. He's going to start his flying lap as he crosses the start-finish line. Going to dive into turn number 1. Clips the apex. Takes all the curve he can on the exit. I don't think he invalidated his lap there. The apex and the exit are both easy places to invalidate, but I think he's okay. Down into turn number 2. Nice apex from Ruin. Gets on just a little bit on the skirt to his left on the way out of the corner. Gonna keep his foot down into turn number 3. Turns in. Runs it a little wide on the exit to keep that speed and carry it through the corner here because he's got a decent run down into turn number 4. Nice sweep of the apex there. Combination of short distance across the apex as well as carrying speed, albeit not being right on the apex. Nice second to the last turn. Ruda comes out of the last one, keeps it in play. He's going to be able to post this time. Comes across the start-finish line and goes 5th fastest with a 103.9. Nice looking lap from Ruda, but I think he's going to have to squeak out a little bit more in order to compete with our top 4 there of some idiot double AT.
He certainly is going to have to as Hammer slots into P2. Hammer time as well, but let's go on with Some Idiot because he's lighting up the purples again. And I think he's not happy with a 103 flat. He wants to break into the 102s, and if he can keep this up, he's going to be able to do that very easy at the moment.
Currently going through Sector 2. Some Idiot on a flyer. Oh, purple sector there. I'm sure for himself and for the track. He's going to toss it into the penultimate corner. Very nice. Takes as much apex. Oh, you can see that. Takes as much of the skirt that he possibly can. Comes across the line with a 1 minute 2.8. Very fast lap time from Some Idiot. That is going to be hard to contend with.
Yeah, I figured he was going to break into that at that pace that he has. And now it's going to cool down those tires, not chew through them. 30 degrees here in the Austrian Alps, shall we say, or up in the mountain ranges of Austria. Anybody else improving at the moment? So Fluffy might be doing a pretty good job there. P13. Yeah, and Dr. McShorty as well, improving on their times. Dr. McShorty's going through the second sector now. Personal best for him, that's the Renault. Can he slot into a little bit? I think maybe able to slot around where Ruder or even his teammate is. Capital. He can hook this up in the final sector.
Moves up quite a bit.
Right behind his teammate.
Right behind his teammate.
Only a tenth separating the two Renaults. Very nice showing from both of them. Pretty competitive between the teammates. That's something you always like to see. Because then the teammates, the closer they are on the grid, the more of a chance they'll have to work together and kind of watch each other's backs through the thick of it when they get to the mid-race. So hopefully that works out well for them. Although there's plenty of time left, 8.5 minutes left. Caphood or Dr. McShorty both could set faster lap times. And in the meantime, we've got Becky B over here running a very fast lap.
Yeah, fastest middle sector. So a bit of a mistake in that first sector was definitely going to potentially cost him pole. But if he can hook this up, he can get provisional.
Ooh,
P2.
just runs wide, it looks like.
Yeah,
and invalidates.
Yeah. So at the moment, Jeff is running around like a madman, like a headless chicken, shall we say, because we've still got Fluffy Drive, Cremy, Nick, Rogue, and Racer have yet to set their laps.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on there. They've got a lot of drivers have not set a lap yet. I know sometimes it's a strategy if you really want to start. Well, I don't know. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. I think depending on the league you're in, you might want to start more towards the back because then there's less chance of someone coming from behind and ruining your race. Let's say in hard braking zone, like turn number 1, 2, or 3. But I don't know that in a league setting like this where we've seen a lot of these drivers race week to week and we know a lot of them can keep it clean, that would make a whole lot of sense. I think what you're trying to do here is just qualify as high as you possibly can because all of these drivers, it's going to be hard to pass every single one of them if that's on your list of things to do once you are in the race. I think that's going to be hard no matter who you are.
Track limits are pretty strict here, though, in certain spots. I've seen Racer 33 run wide on both of his laps. I don't know about Fluffy Dave or Creamy.
That's true. They can be very punishing, and I think that's something that's going to come into play in the race as well.
Keep an eye on Ruder at the moment, running in P8. That's the Haas driver. He or she, I'm quite sure, as Hammond's going to a little bit faster. A pretty quick personal best first sector for Ruder, and a personal best second sector, 28.6. That's, at least 3/10 down from the lead. But Ruder should be able to slot a little further up there.
And there's Racer 33.
Yeah. The hammer time is not going to be able to bring it, I don't think. Let's see if Ruder can slot up around his teammate. No, he does not. He did not improve on that third sector. So hammer times are not improving on his time. WOT is not. Racer obviously slot up into P5.
Some idiot going to start probably his final flying lap.
Time-wise, he might have another in him, but I think you're right. This is going to be one of his last attempts, at least on a fresh set of tires. Drivers, I don't think, pack more than 3 fresh set of softs into qualifying here, so he's going to need to use at least one of them during the race. Presumably the ones he set the fastest time on, but he may want access to at least a semi-fresh set of softs. He might feel
Fluffy drive at the moment, sorry, in P15, that's the racing point. he's got to get a lap time in. He doesn't have one at the moment, but he's setting some pretty good pace. As long as he doesn't invalidate, he should be definitely up into the top 6, I would say, if he can hook this up. There it is, top 3.
Third. Nice pace from him.
Some idiot is about to show us if he's able to improve as well. Coming into sector 3, almost comes around the last corner. See if he is able to set yet a better time. A 1 minute 2 just looks like he does not improve. 102.8 stays the time for some idiot. Fluffy Dave, his teammate for tonight. Yes, just 2 positions behind him in third. Hammer Time right now holding on to that second place finish. Currently in the pits, has a chance to run another lap with a 103.1 from Hammer Time. Very nice lap. The question will be is whether our drivers can repeat this lap after lap in the race. We've got Rogue over here currently driving through the gravel off turn number 2.
Not where you want to be.
No.
And yeah, some idiot may have time to run 1 more lap if he has the tires. If he's brought 4 sets of softs.
Yeah, that's true.
She that's the Red Bull driver in P16 at the moment. Not setting lap time yet. Personal best at the first main, a little bit of an error in second sector. So that might cost him a potential top 10 qualifying position if he can slot across here. See how far up he can get close to his teammate. No, only 1 position gained. So if he can start another lap, he needs to get it done now.
Just a little bit of time left for our drivers. Watch on the left-hand side of the screen as those pits are going to start turning into out laps as our drivers go out for the last time. And remember, it takes about 1 minute and 3 seconds on a flying lap, probably about 1 minute and 20 seconds to get around the track on a slow out lap. So drivers can go out actually pretty late. So a lot of them, I think, are going to have a chance again. Shabam and Red Hornet both taking advantage of the track being relatively empty at the moment. Beside that is going to be their time to shine. Shabam goes across the start-finish line. 1 minute 4. Oh, here we go. Starts his flyer now around turn number 1. Cuts the apex about as much as you can around turn number 1. It's an easy place.
Yeah, that was close.
Chat for Becky B, sitting a faster second sector. I think Becky B is thinking about potential P2 here to slot that Williams in to P2 or P3, get ahead of Fluffy. If he make that third sector, there it is, P2.
Becky B is second fastest with a 103.173. 2 milliseconds.
That's impressive.
That is very
That's crazy.
And what's happening with Rogue? He's just sitting in the pits right now. Is there a problem with that McLaren driver? He's not out yet. He's not going to be able to get a time set.
Last we saw, he was struggling in the gravel trap around turn number 3. So I wonder if he lost a wing. He's going to need to get it back on and go out pretty soon here if he's going to want to set a time.
Both racing points out of the pits as well. Shea B retires.
Locks in his time at a 104.4. Across the finish line, Shabam improves slightly with a 104.0. Can't quite break it into the 103s, but not a half bad time on his own. Red Hornet currently finishing up his lap as well. Into sector 3 he goes. 1 minute 4 seconds, 0.5 the current time. Needs to take off 5/10 to catch up to his teammate Shabam. Red Hornet around.
Welcome Funky Cactus to the chat there. He's like, let's go. Great time so far. There are. Rogue unfortunately won't be setting a time because he's still remaining in the pits, so he's going to be starting plump last in this race. Anybody else improving? Double OT's improving on his personal time. Can he get a little bit further up in the grid?
Possibly going through sector 2 here. Sector 1 is pretty much consists of turn number 1 and the straight afterward. So it's you won't see a whole lot of variation at times through there. However, there are some quick times. The Alfa Romeo double OT here, finishing sector 3 as we speak. Gonna come around the last corner. Oh, runs very wide. I don't know if the game is gonna let him keep that time.
Yeah, that cost him a lot. Some idiot now. Wow. I think he's not happy with that 102.8. I think it sounds like a radio station. I think if he can hook this up, some idiot, because he's saying the fastest first sector. How fast has he gone? 2 tenths quicker than his previous fast first sector. So he might be on for a 102.5 if he can hook this up.
That would be right about where I predicted we were going to be. So let's see if some idiot is going to back me up here and actually go that fast. Clear in hanging out on the second straight right now. I don't know what's going on over there.
Oh, and he pulls into the pits.
Yeah, middle sector just cost him too much. Just a little too fast.
Yeah, and looked like coming out of turn 2 there, just got held up a bit by the Renault driver.
Rogue,
I don't
not
think
gonna be able
anybody's
to
gonna-
set a time.
I don't think anybody's going to bring it. But remember, too, some idiots actually used a lot of his tires as well. So he's not going to have any fresh softs, shall we say, to box with. But I think the strategy, as you guys called it, will be going to softs to mediums or softs to the hards, correct?
I think so. I think that's what we're going to see out of our drivers tonight. Expecting about 17 laps on the softs and 22 on the mediums. So let's see here if we've got best. Yep, all drivers qualified on the softs. No drivers deciding to run with the mediums to start out with. I think that makes a lot of sense. There's going to be a lot of close battling at the beginning. The slipstream is going to be a very powerful effect here in Austria, and being on the medium tires is not going to cut it, trying to get around some of these aggressive turns at a similar pace to the cars around you. It's just never going to happen on those mediums when everyone else is on even relatively fresh softs. We've got Dr. McShorty coming around the last turn. Looks like he's going to set a time, but will it be an improvement? No, 1 minute 3.9 for Dr. McShorty. So there you have it. That should be our starting grid there. Some Idiot in first, Becky B in second, Hammer Time third, Fluffy Dave in fourth, Racer 33 in fifth, Double OT 6th, Creamy John 7th, Exotic 8th, Capita 9th, Dr. McShorty 10th, Ruda 11th, Shabam in 12th, Stony 13th, Nick 14th, Red Hornet 15th, Shay B down in 16th, and Rogue not able to set a time. Will start at the back of the grid in 17th.
I totally agree with the Funky Cactus out there saying great times. If you really look at that, yeah, from P1 essentially almost down to Dr. McShorty there, a 1 second difference. So that goes to show you the pace of these drivers when they're only separated by 1 second during qualifying.
Absolutely. Just 1 second difference can translate to a lot of factors that are going to affect these drivers during the race. Fuel load, times you slide out during a corner, number of lockups, like those are the little things that are going to come down to equalize these lap times and or make a driver fall behind. So whatever driver is able to keep it most consistently on the track tonight and keep those little incidents down is going to be the one that is going to be one of the ones that we're seeing on the podium tonight. Some Idiot, of course, in the past has demonstrated an immense strength. That is an immense strength of his to keep it consistent throughout a whole race and keep that pace on him. But will anyone, the likes of Becky B, Hammer Time, or Fluffy Dave, or even Racer 33, challenge him tonight for that lead in the race? I don't know yet if there is rain scheduled for the race, but it's certainly looking slightly cloudy out now at the end of our qualifying session. Doesn't really have an effect on the race, but I don't know. I'd still really like to see some rain here during the race.
Yeah, it'd make for an entertaining race.
That could be some of the reason when we see rain slotted in the schedule, we see everyone go out on soft. So that could be one of the reasons that we don't have anyone trying a medium strategy, just because it's not going to matter. Whatever tire they start on here is not going to be the one they start on in the race. So there you have it. There's our lineup. Some Idiot Becky B on the first row, Hammer Time Fluffy Dave on the second, Racer 33 and Double OT on the third, Creamy John's and Exotic on the fourth, Capita Hood, Dr. McShorty on the fifth row, then Ruda Shazam, Stony, Nick, Red Hornet, Shape B, and Rogue rounding out the bottom in 17th. All drivers qualifying on the soft except for Rogue, who did not set a time. So if we start out on a dry race, the drivers below 11th or below will have a chance to start the race on whatever tire compound they want. If it's a rain race, you get free choice of the intermediates or the wets.
I do think it's a little unfair how, sorry, do you think it's a little unfair how the drivers somehow have a weather forecast that they can predict during qualifying for the race? Because that kind of like just makes it all too predictable for their setups. I'd like to see if it was completely unknown, as it is for us up in the commentary box. But somehow they had that inside knowledge of the weather.
Absolutely. I think that would add... I don't know. I like being able to see it, but I also agree with what you're saying. Like, I think any chance that we get to make it to level the playing field, I think we should take. But I also think that when rain is forecasted, there's a trade-off to be made. It's not necessarily just slap on all the downforce, because then if it dries out or during qualifying, you may be disadvantaged by not having that extra downforce on the car. So I think there is still a choice to be made and a trade-off to be had. But I agree with you there. Any chance that we can give to our drivers to kind of level the playing field and catch our drivers out by surprise and really test just how good they are, I think we should do that.
Yep. Thank you, Raul, for giving me the weather report. As you can see, it is clear. I was just checking with the drivers there because they get that information from Jeff that we do not get in the com box. Well, I'm down the pit lane. Jeff does.
And Fluffy Dave spins on the formation lap. It's like Fluffy Dave.
Oh yeah, he's way back there behind a lot of drivers, so didn't actually disqualify him. Oh, there it is. Stoney
There goes
disqualified.
Stoney.
Now, for those of you at home, don't worry that are fans of Fluffy Dave and Stoney. They're not actually disqualified. They're just going to get sent back to the grid. No longer get a chance to warm up their tires, which can be crucial going into
Cold tires. Exactly.
I think Stoney's really going to be unhappy with that, more than likely, because they both got disqualified at the same time. It was Fluffy Dave and Stoney that came together, and Fluffy Dave being in 4th, hitting someone all the way down in 13th. It's probably Fluffy Dave's fault, unless Stoney somehow leapfrogged all 12 people between them, just was targeting Fluffy Dave. So imagine Stoney's might be submitting an inquiry to the stewards after this.
Fluffy Dave had a little spin coming out of turn 1, it looked like.
And then did he, when he rejoined, did he happen to touch Stoney? I don't know if you saw any of that.
I couldn't tell. It was in like the broad view camera, so I just kind of saw him spinning in the background.
Our drivers coming around the last turn. That's it for the formation lap. We've got Rogue actually way behind the other drivers, hoping to maybe gain an advantage by slowing down a bit and letting all the other drivers' tires cool off. He is on the mediums. Let's go ahead and look here at the tire. We do have 3 drivers starting the race on the mediums. That's Shabam, Red Hornet, and Rogue. All decided that is best interest to them. Rogue, I think I like that idea, but he comes up to the line, is going to line up. We're going to see all of the cars kind of snap to attention here. We're going to have some lights. We've got 2, we've got 3, 4, and 5. And they're out and away we go at Austria here
Ooh, great
tonight.
start for the Red Bull.
Absolutely. Stoney really pulls right out from the gate. Becky B easily keeps on to second. Some idiot goes into first on the way down. After turn 1, though, we have the Ferrari of Racer 33 battling with the Alpha of Double OT. Fluffy Dave right behind them, right in a group behind him. We got Double OT, Fluffy Dave, Exotic, Dr. McShorty, and Creamy Johns. Even Capital Hood getting in the mix. We got the Double OT Alfa Romeo going a little bit sideways, losing many positions. We're 3 wide down the second straight here. I can't believe this. The drivers are just not willing to cede any positions. We got a McLaren, an Alfa Romeo, and a Mercedes go 3 wide into turn number 3.
Yeah, Shabam just tried to stick it up the inside there and couldn't quite get it to stick.
Wow, really exciting racing on the initial lap of Austria tonight. Running order
Fluffy
right now.
Dave down to 11th. Wow.
Fluffy Dave, what a fall from grace down to 11th there. He is missing the left end plate on his wing and losing position still rapidly. Is going to have to let Nick by here, I imagine, with the damage to that front wing. A little bit of ghosting there from Nick, luckily for both of them.
Doesn't come into the pits, though.
Does not. Decides to stick it out with that wing damage. Interesting choice.
And what happened to... Oh, never mind. It's just the glitch. I was going to say, what happened to Becky B down in like 16th place, but it's just the timing glitch.
Yep, it'll work itself out, but we've got a Renault going down the inside of a Racing Point there, getting that move done commandingly with Capita Hood there on Fluffy Dave. Capita Hood now with a nice little bit of room to run in front of him to Double OT. Then Ruda ahead of him, then Stoney, Exotic, Dr. McShorty further up the road, but all drivers relatively close. Captain Hood, of course, in 10th, battling to keep that at the moment. Right behind him, you can see Shabam and Creamy Johns in the McLaren, but Capita starting to put quite a bit of distance on them. Shabam now 1.7 seconds behind Capita. Certainly going to need to close that gap if he has a chance of making up positions. Imagine right now, Creamy John's all over Shabam. I think he probably has the pace to get past him, but it's a matter of if he can find it. Goes side by side down into turn 1. Shabam, I think, realizes he's lost it. Oh, no, goes around the outside, does not give up that corner. Creamy John certainly got it on the exit, but it's a matter of how good of an exit did each driver get. The Mercedes has DRS right now, opens that wing, goes around the outside of Creamy John's. Is going to park it right there, but with those medium tires, he's going to find it hard to grip the Creamy John's in the McLaren and comes out ahead on the two of them. DRS activation again from Shabam, going to be attacking Creamy John's down into turn number 3. Going to try down the inside, is on those mediums and pushing them to the limit. Creamy John's
quite enough grip.
Many drivers, I think, in that case, you would have seen in Creamy John's position flinch there and think that Shabam was going to come right into them. But Creamy John's knew he had the right to be there, and if anything were to happen, that would be Shabam's fault. So he called his bluff. Shabam kept his head enough to keep an incident from happening there. But Shabam immediately going to be under attack from Nick here. Shabam now falling 8/10 behind Creamy John's. It's a very close race between our midfield here. Moving on up to our front runners, we've got a nice battle for 4th right now going on between Dr. McShorty and Racer 33. Dr. McShorty going to go down the inside around turn number 1. Racer 33 Dr. McShorty gets it done on Racer 33. Switches back. Racer 33 gets a nice exit. Going to keep it somewhat alongside down the straight, but Dr. McShorty
He's going to try down the inside here.
Get with the DRS activation. Man, DRS here is so powerful, but you have to be able to create that gap by the next DRS activation zone, otherwise you see what just happened there. Racer 33 takes 4th place back from Dr. McShorty. We've got Stoney and Exotic looking to get in on this battle as well. Not too far behind them, we've got Double OT and Capita Hood, only 4 2/10 behind Double OT. We've got Dr. McShorty right now. I don't know where to look. There's so much action going on in track. Shabam gets the pass done on Nick down in 12th, but that comes with a 3-second time penalty for Shabam as he goes back to 13th.
The biggest gainers at the moment is Stoney, who's winning with big pressure on Dr. McShorty as well. 5 positions Doctor has gained in the Renault up into P5. So he started P10, P5. Stoney, 7 positions gained. So this battle that you can see right now, they want to try to get on with it, as it looks like Doctor's going to make a run on the Ferrari, and it looks all too easy actually. So he does going to slot in. That Stoney means he wants to.
Oh, and they look like they touched a little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
Lock up from Dr. McShorty. Stoney went right into the back. No, not Stoney. That was Racer 33 went right into the back.
Racer 33.
Very unfortunate. I was just about to comment on how, look at how many cars we've got in one shot of the camera. We've got Stoney, Exotic, Dr. McShorty, Captain Hood, Double OT, Ruda, and we did have Racer 33.
And Stoney gets past Dr. McShorty.
Very nice.
That's 9 positions gained for the Red Bull. Look at the pace that he has. He wants to get on with it at the moment. He wants to. It's hammer time. Hammer time is running at P3. He has to worry about hammer time Stoney at the moment as Capital Hood and Optic.
And Becky B picked up a 3-second time penalty earlier, so he's got Stoney to worry about as well.
Exotic looked like almost letting Capital Hood by there. They both on similar tires, but Captain Hood actually had a lot more pace. I wonder if there was a little bit of a mistake by Exotic there that allowed Captain Hood to take advantage. Captain Hood puts the pressure on his teammate, Dr. McShorty, who can't handle it, slides out and is losing positions like you wouldn't believe. Exotic, Double OT, and Ruda all get past Dr. McShorty. I think the racing was clean there, but I think Captain Hood just got in Dr. McShorty's head. Dr.
Still
McShorty looking
full cars ahead of him. Look at this. Ruda, Double OT, and Exotic, and also in there Creamy Johns as well. Big
and Ruda on the grass.
Getting pushed wide.
And Ruda spins.
Spins around off into the gravel. He's not going to be happy about that. The drivers that he was battling with now leave him behind. We've got Double OT, Exotic, Dr. McShorty, and Creamy Johns all battling for the position that could have been Ruda's. Double OT now leads that pack. Look at these drivers, one after the other, all battling for position. And when we get into these DRS zones, it gets kind of dicey with this many
Creamy
drivers.
slots in front of Doctor.
Exotic picks up a 3-second penalty.
Rogue retired from the session, and Ruda back down into 16th after having another spin, sitting quite far behind the pack. Racer 33 into the pits.
Oh, a safety car, safety car.
Safety car, full-blown safety car caused by...
I was wondering why the cars are driving so slow.
Well, that was a good call from Racer 33. Then he had to repair his front wing, and they are fixing him, slotting onto the mediums, but he's serving a penalty.
No, he's
No,
onto the
out.
hards. Onto the hards for Racer 33.
Interesting call there. I think, yeah, maybe this is one of those niche situations where we think the hards are going to be good. Because as soon as the safety car comes around, if he has a chance to catch up at all, he's going to pass all the other drivers, be on a set of hards, leading this race effectively.
Oh, see, this is the penalty. This is the time. This is the time to pit. You're going to see somebody at Becky, Hammer Time, Stoney, Capital Hood, and Double OT. Let's see. There's going to be a pit stop battle here. Who's going to be compromised? Obviously, somebody will be in their first 2.8 seconds ahead of the rest. Pit stop around here is about 18 seconds overall, and somebody, as you can see, does enter the box.
Yeah.
Let's see where he comes out.
Becky B stays out. That's interesting. Hammer Time is boxing. No, he's not. Oh, sorry, Becky B did stay out, yes. Hammer Time and Stoney and Capital Hood.
Wow, interesting choice from Becky B there to stay out on 7-lap-old softs. I don't know.
Well, they'll get 10 more laps.
Yeah,
maybe 10 more racing laps, probably even. Probably go to lap 20 now.
Yeah,
maybe not quite that late,
yeah,
but
14
close.
To 17, so tack the safety car on there. You're looking at maybe 19 laps or so from Becky B. And especially seeing the trend of the cars behind him, we've got some idiot, Hammer Time and Stoney, all onto hards behind him. So Becky B, if he plays his cards right and has the grip to make it stick, I think could probably stay out in front for, yeah, another solid 10, 11, maybe even 12 laps.
And Capital Hood and Capital Hood, Double OT, and PPI Nick are the only ones brave enough to try the mediums, possibly to the end of the race.
22 laps rated for those. That'll bring us to 29 laps, 7 laps shy of what they're rated for. However, that's not unheard of. Drivers in this league willing to stretch the tires beyond what they were intended to do to gain.
And they'll get
the advantage.
At least 1 or 2 more laps under safety car.
Absolutely, that does factor into it. You basically get a couple free laps of wear on your tires, and what I mean lack of wear, I should say, on those tires from trundling around the safety car at this lower speeds. However, what you'll see a lot is these drivers weaving back and forth to try and keep the heat in those tires. If you do that too much, that actually has a decent effect on the wear of those tires. But what you'll see from our drivers is, they're not doing that around the whole lap. They're just doing it a little bit on the straights and maybe in the slower sections of the track to kind of keep the temperature at an acceptable threshold, ready for that race restart, which, speaking of, is going to be up to Becky B here. He's going to really be in command. Racer 33, his strategy panning out not terribly. It slots into 11th now. I don't know if he gained too many spots.
I think it wasn't too bad for Racer 33 because remember he boxed just at the point of the safety car was called and managed to gain that and had to fix that front wing. So damage limitation for the Ferrari driver, at least he could potentially get some points here as the safety car really kind of palmed into his hands, shall we say.
Yeah.
So, but Becky B is going to be in big trouble there from some idiot. So Becky B has to get on with it with those tires that have a little bit more grip. Safety car will be in this lap.
There it is, official word from the steward. Safety car will go in this lap. So we will see the restart. This restart led by Becky B. Now, if I had to guess here, he's going to go before turn number 7. That's the second to last turn. If he creates enough space, I think he's going to want to do that because he is going to have way more grip than any of the soft runners on those, or excuse me, any of the hard runners on those soft. So he's going to want to take advantage.
No, he's going to wait a little bit.
He is now.
To me, he's going to need a basically to try to just throw this out a little bit and then try to get as much as he can as a lead, and then wait for another safety car further on. And
collision penalties at the back of the field.
Becky B is off as we cross the start-finish line.
And Racer 33 into the pits.
Yeah, Racer 33, 5-second penalty, severe collision with Fluffy Dave. That's no good. Racer 33 retires in the pits like a true sportsman. Becky B out in front for the time being. Some idiot behind him. Then Hammer Time, Stoney, Capital Hood, Double T, then Exotic, Creamy Johns, Shabam, Dr. McShorty, Fluffy Dave. Trading positions, we got Creamy Johns now up into 7th as Exotic takes that position back down the inside. Just kidding. Looks like Creamy John's got out ahead of him a little bit that much better on the traction zone, is now going to try and hunt down Double OT. Creamy John's able to pass Exotic earlier in the race, is not going to let now be any exception, especially with the difference in tires. Creamy John's on the mediums, Exotic on those hards, doing well to stay close, even though there is quite the grip discrepancy there. Racer 33, I hope everything's okay on his end. A decent penalty there.
Capital Hood's lining up for a move on Stoney. Can he make that run past the Red Bull?
Looks like it.
Yes, he does. Job done. He can move on with it. That's 1 lap mediums versus 1 lap hards. And it looks like Stoney's now in big trouble from Double OT as well. You can see the big tire difference between those mediums and hards.
Double OT looking for a chance any place he gets. I think he's going to have to be patient. He's going to be eager to get past Stoney and move on to Capita Hood, but he's got the DRS activation. He's going to need to make this pass stick. So he's going to go around the outside of Stoney here. Oh, we got the McLaren getting in the mix. Stoney down the inside gets not the better of Double OT. He makes it on the exit. Creamy John's going to look to make a pass here as well. All over that Red Bull. Stoney hesitates right in the middle, but Creamy John decides to pull alongside. Is going to pull ahead down into the turn. Stoney goes from looking at 5th to being in 7th. Rough. Series
Dr.
of
Machodi getting past. Look at the difference there between those mediums and hards. Obviously, those hards are hard to get up the temperature, and that's cost Stoney 2 positions, 3 positions essentially, just in 1 lap.
Yeah, those medium runners really making out well from this restart here. Capita Hood is now looking to attack Hammer Time on those hards and get past him as we speak. After him, he's on to Some Idiot, and he might just have the pace to catch him on the soft-hard discrepancy. So Capita Hood on a tear right now for a 2nd podium in a row this season on those mediums, is looking to hunt down our top runner. Remember, Becky B is out in front, but he does have to pit again. Some Idiot keeping that gap consistent at half a second between. Capita Hood gets that pass done on Hammer Time, makes it look easy into turn number 1. Sets the fastest sector for himself, fastest first sector for himself. Capita Hood does.
And now at the moment, it's Becky B is going to be coming under big pressure from Some Idiot, because are those tires starting to fall off the cliff?
Yeah, I think so.
He's got fresh rubber.
Yeah, 11 laps on those softs. Becky B has got to be feeling the wear. Some Idiot only 3/10 behind, looking to make that pass any minute here, but I think Some Idiot is level-headed enough to know no one's in DRS range from behind at the moment, even though Capita Hood is making his way up relatively shortly. Some Idiot knows better. He needs to wait for a DRS zone, get past him decisively, and break DRS if he can, and let Capita deal with fighting Becky on his own.
He's also losing a little bit of time to Capital behind, who's the fastest man essentially on the track at the moment. Last lap of 106.3. These guys, he was half a second quicker. So somebody knows he's got to get on with it, because he's going to have big pressure from Capital Hood before. And here it is. This should look all too easy for Some Idiot on that fresh rubber. A little bit of a lock up out of the corner. Becky B is not going to let it go too easy, but he'll have to slot in behind. Becky B now has to be worried about Capital Hood behind. And when is he going to box? That is the question.
Yeah, he's got to be thinking about that. As he loses time right now, it's going to feel worse and worse to box, because he's going to be falling further and further down the field. But the problem is that doesn't get any better the longer he waits. If he wants to do a one-stop on the mediums, I understand giving yourself life on those tires, but at this point, you're going to have more than enough time on those tires. Right now, you got to really evaluate what you're losing with the softs and what you feel these other cars' lap times are going to be mid to the end of the race here. Dr. McShorty looking to line up a move on Shabam here now that DRS is back in play. Dr. McShorty looking for any opening he's got, really. Gonna look both sides at Shabam on that last turn there. Shabam runs very wide, gets a 3-second time penalty. Dr. McShorty's got to be thinking things like that and looking, just waiting for a time where he's better able to get him. Backs off on the DRS zone down the main straight in hopes, I believe, to get a better run down the 2nd straight and not come under pressure too much from the racing point of Fluffy Dave behind him. Dr. McShorty having to play this very delicately if he wants to get this pass done without being passed behind him by Fluffy Dave, who's going to stick his nose in there and maybe try for it, pull alongside down the main straight. Fluffy Dave might even get the better of him going to the braking zone. Let's see who outbrakes who. Fluffy Dave does get the right to the apex before they reach the corner. Nice pass from Fluffy Dave there. Did it decisively, but is he going to be able to hold on? Because Dr. McShorty gets DRS just around the next corner. If Fluffy Dave is lucky, he'll be able to hold on to the back of Shabam long enough to get DRS activation himself, but that does not take Dr. McShorty out of play here.
So as we're
Becky
speaking
B
about
into the
the
pit.
race, I was just about to say that Williams are big trouble right now because Becky B was losing almost a second a lap at the moment to everybody else. He's now taking that pit stop that he needs to take. Unfortunately, he's going to be slotting down into P12 or 13.
Yeah,
They
unfortunate.
can get, but it's going to cost him a lot of time. And there it is, P12. I predicted Red Hornet should cross in front of him. P13. Ouch, that's going to hurt him, but he's got mediums to make it to the end of the race as we're just not even halfway through this race.
He's got mediums to make it to the end, and he's not in a terrible position. He is not as far out in no man's land as Exotic or Nick are at the moment. He's at least close to Becky B. Excuse me, he's at least close to Red Hornet and Shay B. Could look to make a pass on either of them relatively soon here. Of course, we still got our battle for 7th going on between Fluffy Dave, Shabam, and Dr. McShorty. Shabam did lose the position to Fluffy Dave. However, Shabam has not quite let go of it yet. Still only half a second behind Fluffy Dave, soaking in the reward from being in that DRS range. Just really taking advantage of that. But that being said, Dr. McShorty is also hot on the tail of Shabam and going to look to challenge him as soon as he decides to go to make a move. Ruda putting himself into play as well, now in DRS range of Dr. McShorty ahead of him. So that is a 4-way battle for 7th between Fluffy Dave, Shazam, Dr. McShorty, and
Up ahead, looks
Ruda.
like Cremby Johns is going to try to make a move, sort of cut you off there on double OT. Both of these guys had the same tires. Hammer Time's kind of backing them up at the moment. Hammer Time knows that he's got those hard tires. If he can keep these guys chewing those mediums, he can make his race a little bit better. But you can see Cremby Johns and double OT, nothing between.
Ooh, great exit for Creamy.
Looks like both drivers could really, oh boy, battle for 3rd as well. Double OT coming out ahead after turn number 5 there into turn number 6. Double OT stays decisively ahead as well. Creamy Johns not going to give up quite that easily because he's going into a string of 3 DRS zones. Expect him to make a move in the next 4 turns here or so. DRS activation from Creamy. DRS activation as well from Double OT, just barely hanging on to Hammer Time around turn number 1. Looks like Creamy and Double OT both get a pretty similar exit. Creamy Johns with the better exit out of turn number 1 is going to pull up alongside Double OT. He'll line up on the outside of turn number 2. Actually gets all the way past Double OT. Is going to be able to pass him.
Yeah,
and
well
still
passed.
get the
Easy
DRS
for him.
activation. A very nice pass from Creamy Johns there.
And also gets the DRS toe from Hammer Time because that's what he needs to work on. Going to get past Hammer Time while those tires are still fresh on those mediums.
Big
You don't
lockup
wanna
for Hammer Time.
You don't want to let those hard runners get too far further into the race because you know those hard tires are going to start working a lot better than those mediums are as you get deeper and deeper into the race, as we're just crossing the halfway point.
To your point, Captain Hood doing what he needs to do over the last lap and a half, down a quarter of a second on some idiot and still taking chunks out of that time. Captain Hood, if both Captain Hood and some idiot are trying to take their tires to the end of the race, what needs to happen right now for Capita is he needs to make that pass on some idiot. He needs to do it while his tires are fresher, and then as his tires start to fall off, those mediums kind of start to fall off that cliff, Captain Hood needs to defend like he's never defended before, taking another 10 out of his time to some idiot here. He's going to really need to close that up more, especially because he's got Hammer Time knocking on the back door, only 2.3 seconds behind as well, threatening to close that gap into DRS range, and not only bringing the threat of Hammer Time passing Capita, but he brings with him Creamy Johns and Double OT. A very risky prospect. Captain Hood drops back that quarter of a second. Maybe a bit of a mistake there from him that some idiot was able to capitalize on pretty well.
Maruda at the moment running in P10 in the Haas drive has got those 10 laps on soft, so obviously got a little bit more paces. He's been catching, he's a little bit tweaked it. He's been catching the Mercedes of Shabam, who's also all at the back of Dr. McShorty. Both of those drivers, Dr. McShorty and Shabam, have the exact same tires. Maruda is trying to chew through those softs and try to use as much of that soft compound pace that you can get in the grip, and now he's boxing anyway, so he's going to go. Also means Becky B will slot up into P10 on fresh mediums.
Wonderful battle for third. Still here, we've got the McLaren of Creamy Johns going down the inside on Hammer Time. Gets past him, brakes late, Hammer Time runs wide instead of trying to cross over to the middle of the track. Risky for Creamy John.
Looks like they touched a little bit, but no damage for Hammer Time.
He's going to be thanking that he came out of that with little to no damage. Hammer Time gets that DRS activation, which is why you see him so close to Creamy John's right now. That's really what this battle has been. It's been a battle of DRS with 3 consecutive DRS zones down the main straight, the second straight, and the third straight. You really have a lot of opportunity for DRS to gain you time. Creamy John's finally able to put a little bit of a gap onto Hammer Time.
Creamy has got about 11 seconds in penalties, unfortunately. It looks like he has a speeding in the pit lane and 2 3-second penalties.
So a battle between mediums and hards again as OOT is going to try to bring it to the Hammer Time. Half a second. He's going to gain a lot of time here. You see about his traction. No, it's not. Hammer Time's also tied up behind Creamy John's for some reason. Is this the crossover when the hards and the mediums start balancing each other out in pace?
It could be. We've seen Capita Hood's gap to some idiot only increase, now sitting at 3.6 seconds, up 0.6 of a second from where we were 2 laps ago. Capita Hood's tires are certainly falling off compared to some idiot. Some idiot right now is really just looking at that gap saying, can I maintain that 3.6? Exotic retired from the session. Hopefully that was in the pits.
Looks like it. And Raul in the chat, who is Racer33, says the safety car restart was like the Tuscan GP safety car restart at the back of the grid.
Good job.
So
keep an eye on Becky B there at the moment on those fresh tires. He's got 2 of the drivers up ahead. He's got Shabam, who's been stuck behind Dr. McShorty on those tires. But Becky B's got those fresh power, fresh grip. He must feel like he's just on rails right now. It's only a matter of time if he gets Shabam, and then he does.
Oh, and he's gonna touch. Oh, lucky he doesn't spin there.
Yeah. It's costing him pace at the moment. He's currently running 18 seconds away from the leaders. Not the position he wants to be.
Pass on Hammer Time up into 3rd. We've got 2 great battles shaping up right now. A battle for 8th between Dr. Mashorty, Shabam, and Becky B on those way fresh mediums. Shabam looks like he's going to get the pass done here on Dr. McShorty, but is he going to be able to make it stick side by side with Becky B looking to get himself in the mix? Shabam definitely first. Becky B is now going to challenge Dr. McShorty. Wrist position, Becky B gets past him and then almost runs into the back of the Mercedes that has to slow down with those hard tires. Becky B cannot overestimate that. Becky B goes around the outside of turn number 3, inside of turn number 4, and gets that pass done quite nicely. Nice double overtake for Becky B there
and also
on lap.
Big battle behind them as well for Creamy Johns. Hammer Time and OOT all trying to get into that crucial P3 position. Hammer Time will have the DRS. I think OOT did not get the DRS. Somehow he should have been getting the DRS. He didn't activate the DRS. Maybe there's a problem on that car, but Creamy Johns under big pressure right now from P4 and P5.
It seems like OOT is activating it a little bit later, and part of me wonders if he's trying to play the long game strategy. Hammer Time, again, does have those hards, and as we've seen lap and lap again, the DRS activation zone can be such a huge factor in straight line speed down these 3 straights. So Hammer Time, I think, is right where he wants to be. He wants to keep himself parked about, or OOT, I should say, is, yeah, about where he wants to be. He wants to keep himself parked right behind Hammer Time there, and potentially overtake both OOT, or look for a period to overtake both Hammer Time and Creamy Johns in a double overtake maneuver. Whether he's going to find that or not, I don't know, but he might know that Creamy Johns has time penalties and Hammer Time might have a few as well. So even still, just being right behind the cars and not necessarily pushing so hard your tires fall off a cliff may be the call here.
Creamy does not have any time penalties.
No time penalties, exactly. Let's keep an eye on obviously Becky B's pace as well. Becky B is running in the, where is Becky B? 106.9s. A 106.5 is our leader. Somebody obviously is running away with this race at the moment, but they are the 2 fastest cars on the track. Everybody else is in the 17s or plus. So they're the 2 fastest men on track. However, they're separated by 7 cars in between them. So it's and obviously the man that has the fastest tires on the track is Becky B. He has to make them go to the end. Let's see how well the other drivers can make those 14-lap tires, as you can see from P1 to P7, go all the way to the end. We're in lap 23 of 36.
Yeah, they gotta run him another 13 laps, 14 laps yet, unfortunately. And it looks like Creamy John's into the pits.
He does go into the pits. Interesting.
So he's going for the 2-stop.
He is. I wonder if he's going to go on to the softs or mediums.
I would guess another set of softs with 12 laps left.
I think that's not a terrible decision. I don't know. It all depends on when and or if we get
Soft.
another safety.
Yep. Clean, quick pit stop as well. And he's off and racing, but he's going to slot right back down. See a few of the drivers coming
10th
down.
place here.
As he's going to be exiting that corner as fast as he can. Two of the other drivers approaching, but he should slot in behind, in front of them, Red Hornet and Shea. So he resumes in P10. Keep an eye on his pace, 5.89 seconds behind Dr. McShorty as Double OT and Hammer Time.
Are side by side coming around turn number 4. Double OT on the outside. Hammer Time able to fend him off for now, but on those hard tires for how long? Double OT getting desperate to make this pass and make it stick on his aging mediums. Looks like Double OT's just ahead, but Hammer Time then inches it out. Double OT on the inside into the second to last corner. Hammer Time with plenty of room left, and Double OT in the pit. Interesting choice from him there. Also on that 2-stop strategy, not going to be able to take those mediums the full 27 laps to the end of the race. Looks like he is in the same boat as Creamy John's going to try for those softs. And
he's serving a penalty. He's serving a 5-second penalty. The team can't do anything at the moment. They have to wait 5 seconds, and now to slot those soft tires on and get underway with it. That's going to cost Double OT quite a bit of time. He's going to be slotting even behind Creamy John's that you saw just boxed before.
Probably behind Red Hornet.
Yeah, he's behind Red Hornet as well. So we start to see a little bit of a cliff falling off. We'll keep an eye on those times. Creamy John's at the moment, obviously, is the fastest man on the track. Let's see what he does when he gets a full lap around that. P5, what are we looking at there? Fluffy Dave setting a fast lap there, 107. But 106s are still, from some idiot, still putting 106.5 last lap. 106.8 from Becky B.
Battle of the Hards going on in our midfield here with Dr. McShorty and Shabam. Both on 16-lap-old Hards, presumably pitted pretty much at the same time. Both on similarly aged tires and putting in similar lap times. Dr. McShorty was able to actually just take the position from Shabam, but Shabam has not let it go, especially through these DRS signals. I'll be looking for the activation here down the main straight. He's going to make up some time, but it's not going to be enough to get him right up on the gearbox of Dr. McShorty. He's going to need to get a good exit out of turn number 1 and turn number 2, as well as use that DRS. And there it is. He does not have a good exit out of turn number 1. Throttles it like crazy on the exit, has to compensate for that. Does get the DRS activation, luckily, and able to bring him back up to 7/10 behind Dr. McShorty. But is he going to be able to stay there? That remains.
And Creamy John's is going to join that party in just a moment.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds behind Shabam, closing that gap quite nicely to capitalize on all of the tiny little mistakes Shabam was making in that last lap. Still closing the gap. Red Hornet looks like he was just able to is in the process of overtaking Shea B at the moment. Shea B's definitely not giving it up. Another battle of the hard tires. Red Bull on the inside around turn number 4. Gonna go down into turn number 5, side by side again. Just kidding, the Red Bull gets in first.
Oh, and Red Hornet though with the better exit.
Oh boy. Gonna go side by side in the second to last turn here. Red Bull runs wide, gets run wide. Double OT's going to stick his nose in there. Going to see if he can't get a position on Shea B as well. He's certainly going to get the DRS activation, and he's going to be happy with that. The Red Bull making up ground quickly on Red Hornet in the Mercedes. The Alfa Romeo being sure to get in on that action as well. Shabam getting overtaken by the Red Bull as we speak, possibly the Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo goes down the inside of almost both of them, sticks his nose in there, runs the Red Bull wide. Alfa Romeo gets the job done, taps the back end of the Red Bull, but all drivers come out okay. Alfa Romeo gets quite a good exit out of there. Double OT does. He is going to go down the main straight, get the pass done. Going into turn number 3, a nice pass by Double OT there. Shea B is now going to be under threat by Red Hornet there. Red Hornet going around the inside, getting that pass done, bumps the Red Bull.
And they touch.
Both drivers seem to come off okay. Red Bull stays ahead. Double OT. Shea B will be happy with that one as Double OT increases the gap ahead of Shea B. Ruda looking to get in the battle as well now. Ruda just passed Red Hornet. I didn't even know he was in play here, but Red Hornet fell back, and Ruda decided to take the position. Ruda, now only a half second behind Shea B, is going to give him a run for his money down the next couple DRS straights. The Haas, as you can see, there he goes, lines up on the middle. On those medium tires, able to find that much more grip. Ruda clips the apex, very nice, gets a decent traction out of there. So does the Red Bull, though. The Red Bull's going to pull back alongside with that DRS activation. The Mercedes might even get a look into this battle as well, down into turn number 2. All the DRS gates shut, then we go around the corner. Red Bull comes out ahead, but with the Haas and the Mercedes knocking on the back door, Ruda and Red Hornet both battering Shea B. Ruda gets slightly ahead here into turn number 3. Gets decisively ahead. That Red Bull is going to battle back for that position here. Definitely not going to let that one go that easily. Riding on board with Red Hornet right now. We get a good view of what Shea B is looking at. An ever-increasing gap between Shea B and Ruda.
Cremmy Johns got past Dr. McShorty there to slot up in the P7. Those fresh tires are really working right now. But look at Fluffy. He's going to put big pressure on the back of the Red Bull driver. Both of these guys have the same tires, so it's going to come down to pure skill on those worn drivers. This is for P4 battle. Stoney's holding that P4 position at the moment. Becky B is trying to make some gain there in P6, but he's got big pressure too from Cremmy Johns, who is the fastest man on the track in the McLaren, but 5 seconds behind Becky B. But the big battle, you can see, is between Stoney and Fluffy Dave.
Big lockup from Fluffy Dave there. That's going to give Becky B a chance to get closer. Only 1.2 seconds behind the two. And both Stoney nor Fluffy Dave, I think, want Becky B involved in this battle. On those medium tires, he's going to be able to outmaneuver them on a lot of the corners right now. Those medium tires are 13 laps old, so give it another 5, 6, 7 laps. Or 5 or 6 laps, and that may not be the case. So Fluffy Dave and Stoney, if there's are really going to want to work together to keep Becky B behind both of them and give them both a chance to battle it out together at the end of the race. However, neither may have a choice at this point. Fluffy Dave doing his best to get past Stoney, and Becky B now well within DRS range. That's going to continue to close that gap between Becky B and Fluffy Dave just because of the life of those tires. Fluffy Dave following Stoney into turn number 2. Right on his heels. As you can see, the car getting a little squirrely on Fluffy Dave on the exit, not quite able to put all the traction on the track. Fluffy Dave.
Capital Hood starting, or not Capital Hood, Hammer Time starting to struggle as well, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like he is dropping down. The Stoney and Fluffy Dave may catch him as it is. All 3 drivers.
Capita, though, impressive 21 laps so far, and his pace to Hammer Time is, he looks faster than Hammer Time. He's putting time on Hammer Time, and he needs to. I think he's got 14 seconds of penalties now.
The question really for Capita is he going to blow a tire by the end of the race? Looks like right now he's got enough of a cushion to keep himself in that position. That's more than 1 second per lap he'd have to give up to someone like Stoney or Hammer Time, and he's just not doing that right now. So I think that's really testament to how well he's managed those tires so far. It's going to be whether those pop or not. Some idiot. No, Fluffy Dave goes down the inside of Stoney here. Gets that pass done around turn number 1. The Williams goes on the inside of Stoney as well. It's going to try to get that pass done. Becky B now on the inside coming down into turn number 3 is going to take full advantage of that track position, going to stick himself in there, run Stoney as wide as he possibly can, get his nose ahead. Stoney now slots himself behind, switches back over on the entrance into turn number 4. Stoney not close enough to be able to challenge that Williams. Now going to give Fluffy Dave all of those issues with that extra grip on those mediums. Going to then be looking for Hammer Time 2.1 seconds down the road ahead of Fluffy Dave. But for now, Becky B needs to get this pass done, and the sooner the better. Looking at the back of that racing point, the less he can do of it, the better off he's going to be. Opens that DRS, is going to slowly close that gap. I don't think he's going to get the pass done. Going down into turn number 1, looking off the back of the racing point, you can see him closing that gap quite nicely. However, watch that back flap, going to be opening again down this DRS zone. Going to close that gap even further. Which way is he going to move on the racing point? If not now, it's going to be later. Looks to take the inside, brakes late, Goes right around. Nicely done pass by Becky B. Let's see if he's able to hold it on this straight. Very nice exit from Becky B, carrying the speed in and the speed out. Way more than the Racing Point was able to do with what they were given. Very nice line from Becky B. Stoney fancies himself a 5th place as well. Is going to continue to battle Fluffy Dave, but I suspect we are going to see Becky B pull away from Fluffy Dave for a couple laps, certainly closing the time between himself and Hammer Time ahead of him. Only 1.8 seconds separates 3rd place Hammer Time with 4th place Becky B. Becky B at this point smells a podium.
And effectively, that's a fight for 2nd, actually, with Capital Hood's penalties.
Yeah, exactly. It's right. But then again, Hammer Time only have 3 seconds penalties. Now think about this: 4 laps to go, 4.3 kilometers. So essentially, you're looking at around 14 kilometers to go. And Becky B has to get at 1.5 seconds, and he has to get ahead. He has 6 seconds of penalties. So if he has to get past Hammer Time, he has to get 3 seconds ahead of Hammer Time if he wants that 3rd place on the podium.
That's going to be rough. I don't know that that is going to happen. So Fluffy Dave, Stoney, and Creamy Johns all looking to capitalize on this spot in the race. Creamy John's looking best poised to take it, but he has to make some serious moves in the next 3 laps here. And he's got the softs and he's got the DRS activation, but does he have the moves to get it past each of the 3 of these cars? I think a podium for Creamy Johns is not out of the question depending on what happens here, but he does have to pick it up quite a bit. That represents a lot of time on the board, and it also represents a lot of cars on track that he has to pass yet if he wants to make that up.
Well, Creamy John's only with 3 seconds of penalties, and both drivers directly in front of him have a lot more penalties than him.
Creamy John's actually liking where he's at. I think he'd like to be able to get the pass done on track so that gap between Stoney and Fluffy Dave doesn't get so big he has to worry about it. And there you go. Look at that. Goes down the inside of the Red Bull, gets that spot taken care of into 6th on track.
Becky B now 1.2 behind. I think that the peak of 1.3, he's going to be very close to that peak of those mediums, because he needs to get a lot of pace there. Hammer Time knows it as well. If he could just kind of remain and keep that Alfa Romeo, shall we say, in slotting into that position, he will guarantee himself a podium position. Actually, it'll be P2.
Yeah. And I think Creamy might be on for a podium as well with the time penalties around him. He might be on for a 3rd if he can keep it behind these guys and not pick up another penalty.
Creamy's currently, well, he's 23 seconds off the leader. Only 3 seconds penalty. He has the fastest lap, so he will get the point for that.
Capita, I think, has 14, 15 seconds of penalties. Hammer Time, I don't know. I don't think Hammer Time has any, but Becky B with 6, Fluffy Dave with 6. You should get past all those guys.
Hammer with 3. I don't see the 5-second penalties. You have those ones. They're unserved. They get a chance to serve them. Becky B now within half a second. But even if he doesn't manage to get past Hammer Time, if I was Hammer Time right now, if I was the engineer, if I was Jeff to Hammer Time, I'd just let Becky B pass, because you as long as he doesn't get 3 seconds up the road, which I doubt he will do in 1 lap to go. Not worth the risk, is it? Taking each other out.
Especially if Becky B gets a little too desperate and tries to dive bomb Hammer Time there, that could end in disaster for both of them.
Hammer Time has to be thinking about the P2 right now and not thinking about the battle that he has with Becky B behind.
If his race engineer's done his job, he's kept him aware of that gap, and Capital Hood looks like his tires are falling off quite significantly. Lost almost a second to Hammer Time in this last lap here. Capital Hood needs to keep that gap, otherwise he's going to fall down the ranks himself with his time penalties. Down to a 2-second gap between Hammer Time. Some idiot is now into Sector 1, or Sector 2 for the last time during this race. Looks, he has just been running an absolute flyer of a race here. Been able to manage the tires very, very well. Keep them under, and Becky B fancies a look on Hammer Time there. Goes down the inside on those mediums, gets it done, gets past him. Hammer Time, I don't think, is going to be too upset by that by the time the time penalties all shake out, but he's got to not get passed by Fluffy Dave as well.
He shouldn't, actually, and then I believe that actually cost Becky B another time penalty as well, so that was probably not the best of moves, but we have to take it away from poor some idiot. We haven't given him any screen time, because he's been running away with this race, hasn't he, from the start?
And there's
Capital
Hood.
20 seconds up ahead. He almost has a pit stop in his pocket.
Almost. He's not going to need it, though, because he crosses that finish line. Capita Hood now in the sights of Becky B and Hammer Time. Becky B might get this pass done. I think it's going to be a tall order. Oh, wow. Capita Hood slowing down a lot out of that corner. Just doesn't have the traction in those tires. Becky B goes down the outside, places second, but wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen. The time penalties have to shake themselves out. We've got our podium, Some Idiot, Hammer Time, and Creamy Johns just putting himself close enough to put himself in the mix. Capita Hood may have finished second on track, but falls to sixth after time penalties. Very rough from him. We've got a nice battle between Red Hornet right now and Shay B. Red Hornet pulling alongside. Not quite able. They touch. Red Hornet goes behind. Shay B goes in front. Their time penalties get calculated, and I think that is their finishing order as well. An exciting end to the race tonight, ladies and gentlemen of Austria. Driver of the day, Creamy Johns, and I'd say he well earned it, keeping those time penalties down to catapult himself from, it was either 6th or 7th, up into 3rd. Congratulations, Creamy Johns, for driver of the day. Well earned. And of course, congratulations to Some Idiot there on the podium. Takes home the top spot tonight at Austria. Well raced race from him tonight. Very, very consistent, and he had the pace like no one else, even on different tire compounds. Very nice race from him. We're going to go ahead and try and get our drivers into the interview room here, see if we can't talk with them tonight. Woof. Look at that. Penalties across the board from all our drivers. Finishing order, Some Idiot, Hammer Time, Creamy Johns, Becky B, Fluffy Dave, Capita Hood in 6th, Stony in 7th, Double OT in 8th, Dr. McShorty 9th, Shabam 10th, Ruda in 11th, Red Hornet in 12th, Shay B 13th, Nick 14th, Exotic 15th, Racer 33 16th, and Rogue 17th. Exotic, Racer 33, and Rogue all with the DNF. Nick is the only one finishing off of the lead lap. Shay B and Red Hornet were about a minute down on the leader, but from there we had some very close races. Look at that, all the way up to 17 seconds worth of time penalties for Stony, 14 for Capita Hood. That's the kind of thing that'll ruin your race. It really is just damaging to what you're able to do in the standings. It's just not really what you want to be seeing as far as that many penalties go. It's quite unfortunate. However, Creamy Johns was able to come out on top of that by quite a bit. Very nice drive from him there. All right, let's see if we...
Should we head to the interview room?
Yeah, let's go ahead and head over there and see if we can't get some of our drivers in there. I'll meet you over there, gents. So Cosmo, what are your takeaways from that race? Very exciting, in my opinion. There was a lot of battling between our drivers and a lot of really, really close racing. What are your thoughts, Cosmo?
Yeah, and it just shows in a league like this, keeping it clean is really important, and limiting your penalties and your really big mistakes is just really important. Like keeping your wing intact just shows where what it can catapult you up the order.
Absolutely. So as our podium starts filtering into the room here, we're going to go ahead and start with Some Idiot. Some Idiot, another commanding race win tonight. Were you worried at any point when, was it Becky B and even Creamy Johns were taking alternate tire strategies? Were you worried at any point that you weren't going to be able to keep up with them on your off tire strategy?
Okay, so that safety car was in a very weird point of the race. First off, I want to give a shout out to Capita to making those mediums go to the end. I didn't think that was possible. There's a reason I was on hards. I had no belief in being able to make it to the end on the medium. Not a chance in heck. First off, credit to him. Second off, we're how the weird point of where it came out is the hards were better because you wouldn't be able to make up a pit stop without a second safety car to bunch up the field again. And well, I mean, I know Becky, he stayed out. It's worth a gamble on that alternate strategy, but you need chaos to happen at that point, and it just didn't happen. If he'd gotten a safety car before he'd pitted, that actually could have played out really well because we would have all had to stay out on the hards. He could have got better tires. But I digress. I'm rambling. But with with Creamy, that was a nice idea, but once again, you need the safety car to come out or something. The safety car came out with around 10 to go. I would have pitted to the softs, and that would have worked out for everyone on mediums. They would have been able to cycle on tires, but just didn't happen. I mean, for me personally, car was fantastic. Had exactly what I wanted, the balance. Only issue I had is my throttle is giving me some problems. I can't quite stay full throttle sometimes on the straights, but otherwise, car balance awesome. I'm very happy to have what I had there. Very consistent, very smooth. What I wanted. Bingo.
Absolutely, somebody. Can I? It's Biggles here. I just wanted to ask you, like, how somehow you managed to just blister the pace on those hard tires, because even the other guys that were on the mediums, and that was Becky B and so forth, were just basically matching your pace that you were doing on those hards. So somehow you just had that car delivered and balanced and perfect. And as you mentioned before too, with the strategy, I think you even had that covered by the end as well. You almost had a pit stop in hand, 23 seconds. You won the race by.
Yeah, if
So
I'd known they had more penalties, maybe I would have gone for the fastest lap. I don't know. Just yeah, I mean, happy with the balance, but to be honest, I had not done a single lap on the hard before then. I always everything I practiced in previous league races and previous practice for league races, I've always planned a soft medium or a medium soft. Never have used the hards. So I'm very happy the car just was right where it needed to be on the hards for having done not a
you
single
did
lap
your
before.
yeah. I think your average pace on those hards were around a 106 and a half. So absolutely fantastic pace.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, very nice race from you tonight. Some idiot. Congratulations on the win. Solidifies your place at the top of the tables. Now moving on to our second place finisher, we had Hammer Time. Hammer Time, welcome to the interview room. How are you feeling tonight?
What's going on? That was an interesting race. That was, yeah, that's all I can say. The safety car really just threw a wrench in everything. Yeah, I mean, I can keep going and ranting about the race. Not really ranting, but like before the safety car, I hadn't picked up any penalties, but I think Becky did, and I was feeling really good about being able to have good pace and not have to like get that many penalties. And safety car came, and like Cody said, like I've not touched the hards at all, and the first few laps, like I was just driving so careful, trying not to get penalties, trying not to spin because they were really cold, or just like get any, just screw up too much. And then, yeah, I knew from the start too, like I had pace over the guys behind me, so I felt pretty confident that if I just managed the gap, I'd still get P2, and that's kind of what happened towards the end. Like the last 10 laps, Capita's tires were just dead, and I just had to bring the gap within 6 seconds of him, and then just manage the guys behind me.
Yeah, we watched
'Cause
that.
I
That was
think
really
only had
nice.
3 seconds.
How
It was just
aware were you of the
pushing.
penalties behind you? Because we know, so we knew you knew about Capita's, but the penalties behind you, were you aware? I mean, a Becky B, right, had one. But did you know about how everyone else's would shake out at that time, or was it kind of a guess?
I was super nervous because last I checked, Cream said that he didn't have any penalties, and I knew that he was coming. Like he was just fucking hauling on the softs. He had a great stint. And yeah, I was just nervous. And then yeah, Becky was just dead set on like trying to get by me, even though I had penalties. So like, I kind of let him by and just try to lose as little time as possible because Cream was definitely a threat if he didn't have a penalty. Like he was within a second and a half of me at the end. I think the finishing time was. So glad he got a penalty. But yeah, it was just trying to manage second the entire race.
Absolutely.
Well, manage it and manage it well. You did, and that's all that matters. So you must be very, very happy with that second step on the
Yeah,
podium.
I mean, it's basically a win. Cody's out of reach, so yeah, just yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
very nice
take it.
showing
Happy.
from you tonight. How do you feel at next week's track, Great Britain? Is that a Silverstone? Is that a strong one for you, or are we kind of walking into an iffy one for you?
No, I'm sure I'll be fine there. I yeah, same with like the race last week. I just got angry and screwed myself over. That was an easy P2 as well. Just mistakes and staying out. I don't know if you remember that. Kind of raged and ran into a wall at the end. But yeah, as long as I kind of drive how I know I can, just keep it smooth. I definitely feel like podiums are just realistic from here to the end. So there's not really a bogey track. It's mostly just the like China and the first few. So
Strong words from Hammer Time there. So that he's calling it right now. Be looking for Hammer Time on a step of the podium from here through the rest of our 11 races to the end of the season. He's going to be on every single one of them.
Pace wise, I feel like I'm there. As far as not bottling, who knows? So
that is
either
true.
way,
consistency plays into it as well. But at least for next week, I hope we do see you in the winner's circle again. But until then, we will have to keep practicing.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you too. Thanks for coming out. All right, so next we have third place, which is Creamy Johns. Creamy, how did that feel for you? You were sitting in what, 6th or 7th, and then all of a sudden on the timesheets you went to 3rd. Was that something that you kind of knew was going to happen, or tell us more about that?
I knew that Becky had penalties. I knew that Dave had 9 seconds or something, and then someone else had 12 in front of me. So just as long as I didn't get another one, I knew I'd probably get 3rd or 4th. So yeah, that strategy was interesting, but it worked out.
Yeah, how was that a strategy that you planned to take from the beginning of the race, or was it kind of edited by that safety car and the timing of that?
No, it was going to be a one-stop stop to medium if there was no safety car that early, but everyone else was going hards, and I was already stuck in traffic, so I had to get by them somehow, and the only way, because it's such a small gap between everybody around here because of how short the lap is, so mediums was definitely the right way to go to clear all the traffic.
Yeah, DRS seemed to play a big factor in your strategy. We just saw you kind of slipstream off car after car. If you would have had kind of speculation here, but if you would have had one less DRS zone, do you think you would have gotten to where you were in the race? Do you think it's too much DRS, or what do we have at the track isn't enough?
Didn't have it all that often, honestly. Like, I'm trying to just remember what happened. I don't even remember driving the last stint because that's how, like, I was in the zone that last stint. I don't remember anything. I just remember passing people, but like, I don't know. I think the tires more than anything is what got me up there because I was on softs at the end and everyone's mediums and hards were wearing off, so they were just, it was like taking candy from a baby, honestly, at the end.
I love that. Taking candy from a baby.
Yeah, they had your tires definitely had no shortage of grip towards the end, which was very important in those traction zones. You were able to really pass a car and then get away from them down the straight. So yeah, very well driven by you tonight. Yeah, strategy unconventional, but it did the trick for you tonight. Congratulations on the 3rd place.
Thank you very much.
And it looks like we've got Becky B in here as well, showing up from 4th place. Becky, did you have something you wanted to input, or are you just trying to hold on to that podium because it looked like you were going to be on it for a millisecond, and then it got taken away?
I know some idiot was giving me credit for that strategy call. That was an absolute complete mistake on my end. I wasn't paying attention and stayed out. Yeah, so I just wanted to say, like, when I was trying to overtake Hammer Time, I was basically running away from Creamy at that point. I was just pushing as hard as I could, trying to build as much of a gap as I could because I knew about the penalties and all that. So yeah, I was basically just pushing that entire race. So it was a fun one for me, but pretty disappointed to not be on the podium in the end.
I love that little strategy call because you were the first one to switch over to the mediums, and early that was, and so you had the freshest rubber on the track, shall we say, but you had a lot of work to do to build your way through the field, and you did a lot of overtakes. And it was a lot of work, and it was very, very entertaining. But obviously, towards the end, a little bit too much of a stretch to try to bring it to the front runners.
Right, and the penalty situation was definitely not in my favor. I think I had 2 warnings on the first lap alone, so that was not good.
Also, remember, Becky, your qualifying lap to get me by 2 thousandths.
Oh, I know.
Man, that was. Oh, good job, man. Good job.
Yeah,
Sorry,
thank you.
Well, certainly entertaining, Becky, and certainly entertaining from a lot of the other drivers as well. Unfortunately, your racing wasn't that entertaining because you just were out there all by yourself, a bit of a lonely race. But
Well,
so come on, guys, you need to bring it closer to some idiot so we can see some entertainment, shall we say? That's what we need.
It might look boring on person from commentator's booth, but when you're in the driver's seat, it's I have goals in my head. I've got goals. I've got
yeah, you're sweating like crazy. I can imagine as well. I've done one or 2 league races myself, and it's stressful. I didn't realize how stressful it was, but yeah. So I absolutely admire. Hats off to you guys for the sheer amount of work that you do. And it's not just what people see on the stream, it's what the commitment you do, practicing over and over and over again just to get that 1/10 or the 1,000th of a second gain advantage. And that's what it takes to win races, isn't it? Certainly in the Tier 1, Division 1, cream of the crop, fastest guys in PPR. Well done.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for a great race tonight. Congratulations to our top 3, Some Idiot, Hammer Time, and Creamy Johns, and our runner-up for the podium, Becky B. Thank you guys for coming out, taking the time to talk to the fans tonight. It's always a treat to have you guys out here.
Sir, thank you for having us. You have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Austria for tonight, race number 11 out of 22 for our season here. We've got Great Britain next week. Be sure not to miss that. Same time, same place. Maybe I'll be back here with Cosmo and Biggles. Thank you both for coming out. I appreciate all of the help you guys put towards this stream.
Have a good night, everybody.
Anytime, mate. You guys make it all worthwhile, but we have to give big thanks to the drivers. They're the ones that provide all the entertainment, don't they? Just makes it exciting for us to broadcast.
Absolutely. If it weren't for the drivers and for the fans, we wouldn't be out here. So thanks everyone that showed up tonight and was active, participating with us in the stream. We've got Funky Cactus, Biggles, you're here as always. Exotic, of course, is a driver. We had Ryan show up at one point. Thank you everyone for stopping by. Raul, of course, big part of PPR. So thank you everyone for stopping by. Cosmo, and this is Cosmo, Biggles, and Kermit, and we're here to say we'll see you next week.
Night, everyone.
Destination unknown.
I left my job, my boss, my car, and my home. I'm leaving for a destination I still don't know. Somewhere nobody must have duties at all. And if you like this, you can follow me. So let's go, follow me, and let's go to the place where we belong and leave our troubles at home. Come with me. We can go to a paradise of love and joy, a destination unknown. No, 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 Now I won't feel those heavy shoulders no more. My life got better, now I finally enjoy. Yes, all the people wanna come here and settle. Come on and join us, you can do that now. Let's go, follow me, and let's go to the place where we belong and leave our troubles at home. Come with me, we can go to a paradise of love and joy, a destination unknown, no, no, destination unknown, no, no, destination unknown, no, no, unknown, destination unknown, unknown. Destination unknown. We left the city, the pollution, the crowd. The air is clear, ocean's blue. I love that sound. We're happy for this destination we found. And if you want this, you can follow me. Let's go, follow me, and let's go to the place where we belong and leave our troubles at home. Come with me, we can go to a paradise of love and joy, a destination unknown. No, 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 unknown. No, 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 unknown. Unknown. Destination unknown. Unknown.